Thank you for joining me. So right now we're looking at Campi Flegrei for today. This is the update for Campi Flegrei for this week. I'm going to show you something interesting that happened that I discovered today. So we've been having earthquakes, as usual, in and around the caldera here. Still having earthquakes. But something notable I noticed today. There we go. Let's look here. Possibly some subsidence. Look at that. Here, see uplift, 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 and then what appears to be some subsidence. However, this is not the only place that's showing up. Look at that. At other GPS seismic stations too. I mean, at other tilt meters as well. They are all showing subsidence. Look at this. Right here. Subsidence. See that downward trend there? That's actually a couple centimeters of subsidence. It could also be a fluke, but it could be that maybe it's trying... but that's a pretty big decline. In fact, look at that. That's a pretty big decline in subsidence. So now let's go back down. See if there's been any other geochemical changes. Nope. Not really. Not really. No significant geochemical changes. So it's still indicating CO2 emissions are pretty much the same. Only thing that changes the uplift. Might have just briefly turned to subsidence. There's a couple of possibilities for that. One is that the magma might be moving somewhere else, but we're also seeing earthquakes, so that's not likely. Some of these quakes, especially down here, some of these deeper quakes could be associated with magma movement, but more likely it's the fracturing of rock associated with either movement of magma and or hydrothermal activity. But the hydrothermal activity might be shallow quakes, but the deeper quakes, besides the fracturing of rocks because of changes in uplift and subsidence, because of bradycism, it could also be because of movement of magma. And Campi Flegrei contains a lot of melt, much more sufficient for an eruption. In fact, Campi Flegrei is 60 to 75% melt. In fact, when Geology Hub talked about a video, he mentioned melt. He talked about melt in a volcano. The volcano he talked about is called Laguna del Mal. Right here. Yep. This video belongs to Geology Hub. I would really subscribe to him. I'm just trying to show you how much melt is in Campi Flegrei. And because I don't
switch now to Fios 2 gig, our fastest internet ever.
Look, I finally cut the cable, switched to Fios 2 gig.
Upload speed's 20 times faster than cable.
On the 100% fiber optic network.
Oh?
Hey, cut it out!
Switch to Verizon.
Beginning on March 30th of 2023, a rapid increase in the number of daily seismic events occurred at an active volcano which partially straddles the border of Chile and Argentina. Known as Laguna del Mol, although this volcano has not erupted in around 1600 years, it has the potential to produce large volume and sometimes explosive rhyolitic eruptions, as shown by the 6 rhyolite lava flows it has produced via distinct eruptions in the last 10,000 years. Unlike less silica-rich lavas such as basalt, rhyolite is incredibly viscous, which during eruptions can prevent large volumes of gas from escaping. This gas then during an eruption builds up in pressure, eventually triggering a powerful explosion, with this process repeating several times during an eruptive sequence, which also builds a tall lava dome. In other words, Laguna del Mol is one of the few volcanoes which could theoretically produce a VEI-5 or VEI-6 explosive eruption on the order of Mount St. Helens in 1980 or Mount Pinatubo. Falling behind the rate, Iwo Jima and Askja is under
rates of uplift. Look at Iwo Jima, 100 centimeters. Wow. Actually, Campi Flegrei was not 5 centimeters. It was actually 15 centimeters, 12 to 13. So pretty close to yes, sir. So yeah, I think he might have meant to make it 15, but probably missed a 1.
Going at the present. Laguna del Mol appears to have undergone dozens of cycles of uplift in the last 10,000 years, such as what is currently ongoing, meaning that in the long term it is not all that unusual, with the vast majority of instances not resulting in a volcanic eruption.
No, it wasn't this video.
While an eruption could theoretically result from the current
video.
unrest, I find this possible.
It was a different video he talked about how much melt. Great, another ad.
Do you know the US Solar Company's nasty little secret? It turns out if you live in New York, they have to give you.
Beginning on March 30th of 2023, a rapid increase in the number of daily seismic events occurred at an active volcano which partially straddles the border of Chile and However, the center of where the majority of earthquakes in the current storm are located is centered 7 kilometers southwest of where the uplift center is, at a depth of 4.5 to 8 kilometers. Above these quakes on the surface, at the approximate or within the vicinity of the coordinates labeled on screen, fairly large quantities of carbon dioxide gas are venting onto the surface. While this venting has been occurring since at least 2012, you must stay at least a 2,000 meter radius away. As a whole, Laguna del Mol is experiencing one of the highest rates of uplift on the planet, as sections of it are being pushed upwards by as much as 20 centimeters or 8 inches a year, only falling behind the rate Iwo Jima and Askja is undergoing at the present. Laguna del Mol appears to have undergone dozens of cycles of uplift in the last 10,000 years, such as what is currently ongoing, meaning that in the long term it is not all that unusual, with the vast majority of instances not resulting in a volcanic eruption. Thus, while an eruption could theoretically result from the current unrest, I find this possibility to be unlikely. Thus, on my 0 to 10 opinion-based volcanic unrest scale, I am placing Laguna del Mol at a 3. Thanks for watching. If you would like to request a specific topic, please leave a comment below. Additionally, I would like to thank this channel.
No. I think this is the video where he talked about magma melt.
There is some news regarding the Three Sisters volcano in Oregon, as we now know what the composition of the magma actively intruding underneath the complex is. Before I say why this development is important, I will explain the ongoing situation at the Three Sisters volcano. On January 31st, 2022, the U.S. Geological Survey issued a special statement which reported that the Three Sisters volcano was showing minor signs of unrest due to a magmatic intrusion at a depth of approximately 6 kilometers or 4 miles. It is now nearly 14 months later, and this magmatic intrusion is still ongoing, slowly creeping into the crust, thus displacing rock above.
Not this one either. It might be this one.
Braden has amazed me. He's so strong.
You hear about cancer, but you don't ever think that it will be.
On April 11, 2022, a swarm of earthquakes began underneath the prominent Fuji-like Mount Edgecombe stratovolcano in far eastern Alaska. Although the largest of these earthquakes, which occurred before the swarm ended, was a mere magnitude 2.8, these quakes were not tectonic in origin. Rather, they occurred due to a new intrusion of magma underneath the Mount Edgecombe volcanic complex. It is now nearly 11 months later, and this magmatic intrusion is still ongoing. We now know several facts such as the depth the magma is pooling at, how much magma is present, and where on the volcano would be the most likely site for an eruption to begin if an eruption did eventually end up occurring. However, in the past 6 months there was an additional development at the often snow-covered and scenic Edgecombe volcano. On the eastern section of Kruzof Island, within 3/4 of a mile of the trail which leads to Edgecombe, a pond was spotted that was suspiciously bubbling and appeared to be emitting a gas of some kind. While this vent might not be new, as it simply might have been unnoticed until now, paraphrasing a sentence from an article by James Brooks at the Alaska Beacon, a local couple
Nope. Ooh, itchy, itchy, itchy.
When people hear the term supervolcano, they tend
Hold on, I'm trying to find.
Awesome experience through via During March of 1650 and continuing on for several months, many residents who lived on the volcanic island of Santorini had been encountering something unusual, similar to what occurred. During March of 1650 eruption of La Palma, albeit at a slower rate. On occasion, the viscous magma which erupted, which had a composition of basaltic trachyandesite, would plug a section of the active vent. A small amount of combustible gases would then build underneath this plug until finally a more explosive volcanic explosion occurs. These explosions can be differentiated as not only do they eject bombs of it may in the mid-afternoon hours of May 14th of 2020.
Trying to find what video we talked about it. Okay. Oof. There we go. Actually, it was the Laguna del Mal video. That is correct. It was actually that video. You just skipped too far ahead. Alright. Sorry for the wait, guys. Alright.
Beginning on March 30th of 2023, a rapid increase in the number of daily seismic events occurred at an active volcano which partially straddles the border of Chile and Argentina. Known as Laguna del Mal, although this volcano has not erupted in around 1600 years, it has the potential to produce large volume and sometimes explosive right
here. See? Melt. Look at Campi Flegrei. Melt. 65 to 75% melt.
Of 35% to 50% melt often thought is needed for a volcano to be considered capable of erupting. However, this fact alone does not guarantee that it will erupt anytime soon. The ongoing earthquake storm at Laguna del Mal is somewhat unusual as it has been ongoing for the top of this magma chamber is rhyolite magma, which is more than 70% melt. This is far more than the minimum of 35% to 50% melt often thought is needed for a volcano to be considered capable of erupting. However, this fact alone does not guarantee that it will erupt anytime soon. The ongoing earthquake storm at Laguna del Mal is somewhat unusual as it has been ongoing for far longer than is normal. While previous earthquake storms have only lasted for less than 6 hours, the ongoing storm has lasted for more than 80 hours. This marks the more than 2,000 earthquakes which have thus far occurred in the storm as the longest storm to occur since the seismic network was put in place, with it also being one of the most energetic. These quakes were almost universally what are referred to as volcanotectonic earthquakes. Per a direct quote from the U.S. Geological Survey, volcanotectonic (VT) earthquakes represent brittle failure of rock, the same process that occurs along purely tectonic faults such as the San Andreas Fault. At volcanoes, VT events can occur due to normal tectonic forces, changing stresses caused by moving magma, and movement of fluids through pre-existing cracks. In my opinion, the recent volcanotectonic earthquakes at Laguna del Mal are probably directly or indirectly related to a combination of changes in its hydrothermal system and the intrusion of magma at perhaps depths of as shallow as 3,000 meters. In my opinion, I think that the ongoing magmatic uplift which is indeed occurring and is centered in the southwest section of the lake right next to the volcano's last eruption in around 400 CE places additional strain on adjacent fault lines which are commonplace in this complex. These faults then slip due to the built-up strain generating an earthquake. Because of all of this activity, the alert level of Laguna del Mal was raised from green to yellow on April 3rd of 2023 by Sir Nijumin. However, the center of where the majority of earthquakes in the current storm are located is centered 7 kilometers southwest of where the uplift center is at a depth of 4.5 to 8 kilometers. Above these quakes on the surface, at the approximate or within the vicinity of the coordinates labeled on screen, fairly large quantities of carbon dioxide gas are venting.
Leaky pre-cut there. A lot of flows tap. Okay, I'm back. So, Campi Flegrei is 65 to 75% melt. So Geology Hub said indeed that an eruption is possible. Here, look. So they're saying that this volcano may actually go just like Long Valley did. Why? Because no less than 24 vents have produced at least 36 rhyolite and rhyodacite lava flows and domes over the last 20,000 years. Most of these have been mapped and dated by Singer's group, and one group by one of the great volcanologists, petrologists of our time, West Hildreth. Spent 15 seasons picking apart Laguna del Mal. Now Hildreth's name should be familiar as he is the world's expert on magnetism in the Long Valley area of California. His work on usually erupting 1 cubic kilometer or less, especially with the world's largest post-glacial rhyolite being the Cerro Baranzas flow, topped out at 1.87 cubic kilometers. Most of these eruptions were no larger than what has erupted from the Monte Nuovo dome chain in California. And it's like basaltic andesite. No mistake, during the Pleistocene, the volcanic complex produced numerous basalt lava flows and cinder cones, along with a number of small stratovolcanoes that encircle the current lake. However, this is what they're concerned about. They're saying that now it's, once again, the whole magmatic system may have been replenished with basalt since the end of the glacial period. Which means, what happens when you mix basalt and rhyolite? You get magma mixing and the whole thing goes kaboom. Yeah, that's what they're concerned about. Laguna del Mal. Yep. Prior to the caldera forming eruption, the area was erupting rhyolite, lava flows, and domes, including features that survived the caldera forming event like Glass Mountain. This is a pattern we see in many of these large calderas, likely pre-caldera lava flows that tap the growing reservoir of magma. See? So basically, rhyolite lava flows block the volcano from erupting more. There's a lot of strain put on the crust as the magma body grows, so small cracks can likely lead to small lava flows. Compare that with the modern Laguna del Mal, where a few dozen small rhyolite lava flows have erupted in the past 20,000 years. You can begin to see why we want to watch carefully, plus all this uplift, causing cracks. That's not merely because of predominance of rhyolite lava flows. Does not caldera make. Second, they presented a list of active rumblings at Laguna del Mal that have been at work for over a century in their field work. Lake sediments that have been uplifted over 30 meters from the lake bottom, likely in less than a century. Yikes, 30 meters! That is a lot of uplift. Wow. That is a lot of uplift. Wow. Likely in less than a century. There has been 24 to 28 centimeters of uplift per year over the last 6 years. Compare that with the current quote-unquote enhanced uplift at parts of Yellowstone that is measured in a few centimeters per year. Yeah. And it's not really uplifting anymore. Let's see. 2013. Wow. "100 cubic kilometers of rhyolite magma at a depth of 5 to 50 kilometers. That is a lot of explosive magma. It's very likely that much of the magma is closer to 5 kilometers depth. Be forewarned, these type of geophysical surveys tend not to produce unique solutions, as some of the liquid it detects could be a vigorous hydrothermal system. However, Signer reminded us that even if some of it is a hydrothermal system, something hot needs to be driving it. So he thinks 100 cubic kilometers of rhyolite is a low-end estimate of the total volume. Wow, that's a lot of rhyolite. That is a lot of rhyolite. Even if we assume that 10 to 30% of the magma erupts while the rest is left behind, that would be an eruption of 10 to 30 cubic kilometers, which would be a VI6 eruption akin to Krakatoa or Pinatubo, if not larger. That is not to say we would expect such a giant eruption as one of the big questions that comes out of GSA research way. That eruptible magma might only be present from a very small fraction of a lifespan of a volcano and represent a small portion of the whole magmatic system. The rest being crystal mush that is too rigid to erupt. However, contrast that studying on the 600 cubic kilometer Bishop Tuff, saying that it could have accumulated in a matter of centuries. Given Signer's estimate that 100 cubic kilometers might be a lower estimate, we can seriously consider that there might be a significant volume of magma residing under Laguna del Mal. If an eruption of that size were to occur to Laguna del Mal, it will certainly create a new caldera on the western side of the lake. At that point, a former lake. Oddly enough, Signer said there is little evidence of surface degassing at Laguna del Mal. Not good. Abundant fumaroles and hot springs might be expected in an area with shallow magma under the surface. Think about Norris Basin at Yellowstone. The one place degassing could be hiding is the bottom of Laguna del Mal, and Signer mentioned that. Surveys of the lake found high concentration of carbon dioxide. However, that is all we know about the degassing of Laguna del Mal magma body. So, where does it leave us right now? Laguna del Mal shows all the signs of a restless volcano, and even more telltale signs that we could be seeing the precursor to a massive eruption. The Chilean Geological Survey, Serenagiomin, has Laguna del Mal on a green alert status. Yeah, now it's at yellow. Ooh, things are getting exciting. But only 6 months ago, this alert was at yellow. They realized that Laguna del Mal may not have erupted in possibly more than 1,000 years. It is a very real threat. We have yet to monitor a volcano closely before it produced such a cataclysmic event. So we aren't exactly sure what the full range of events would be before such an event might be. We especially don't know what a timescale before an eruption might be. It could be in 2 years or 2,000 years. Over the past 20,000 years, Laguna del Mal has been giving us samples of what lurks beneath in these rhyolite flows and domes. That might not be all. What we know about Laguna del Mal is that it houses a very large volume of rhyolite magma not too far under the surface. So the real question is trying to understand what is the real chances of a massive eruption. That is what Singer and his collaborators hope to do with their continued research at this restless Chilean volcano. Yeah, 30 meters of uplift? Jeez, that is insane. I mean, the only other volcano that's had that much uplift in the last century is Iwo Jima. That is literally the only volcano that's been having such restless activity. Yeah. Absolutely insane. Okay. Okay. So let's just take a look at the weather. Earthquake. I'm sorry. I just saw it. I'm like, wait, I have to check that out. Look at that, 2.8. This is definitely not following a foreshock aftershock sequence. Right around the Western caldera. Let's see its depth. 3.6 kilometers. Norris Geyser Basin. It's in this area. Let's see if anyone felt this quake. Probably not. It's probably too small to be felt. Yep. Oppenheimer Ranch Project always talks about earthquakes and volcanoes. He's obsessed with Yellowstone and with what it's called grand solar minimum, which we're not having at the moment. Plus, global temperatures are still going up. Let's look at sea surface temperatures right now. In fact, we're about to head into an El Nino, which is a warming of the Pacific Ocean. In fact, almost the entire world ocean is warmer than normal, with the only exception being off the western coast of South America and just north of Antarctica, in that region between 140 degrees west and 80 degrees west. The rest is everything is very warm. Of course, you get a little cold patch off the west coast of North America, upwelling from a typhoon here. That's a typhoon upwelling. And of course, you're getting some cooling around Australia as you're having an El Nino, which normally would mean cooler waters here. But despite that, almost all the world's ocean is very warm, especially off the coast of Africa and South America, off of Europe, off of South America because of the El Nino, off the Middle East. I mean, and east coast of Africa, very warm. West coast. I mean, the entire world ocean is very warm. Temperatures are clearly rising because of climate change. So this is definitely a serious threat. And it's a man-made threat. We all know that anthropogenic climate change is a major threat to Earth. Okay, yeah, so anyway, getting very tired. It's getting very late. Going to bed now. Thank you for watching, and I wish everyone a good night.